Well, hello everyone to the very first episode of the Film Buds podcast. Thank you so much for being with us. It's been a bit of a journey to get here and a lot of investment, but we've made it, hopefully, and we're so happy to have you with us. My name is Henry Faherty, and I'm joined by Will Davies.
I'm Will Davies, and yes, for those who can't see, I am waving.
Yeah, and we are joined by our good buddy Braden Stone.
Hi, glad to be here. For those who can't see, I'm not waving.
But that is just okay. So we're going to be talking about Cars 3. First of all, we'll give you a little rundown of what's going to happen. So first, going to be doing that film, then on to Rough Night, and then we're also going to we have a few discussion questions that some brought to us by friends of ours, and then also just some recent news pieces that hit the presses last night. So we'll be getting into that. And then finally, last but not least, we'll be doing a recap of the 2017 movie year so far, talking about our favorites, least favorites, and what's still to come, for better or worse. And so how are y'all doing today?
Doing good.
Doing fine. Braden, did you get that muffin?
No. I missed that. I felt it was more important to be on time than to satiate my hunger. So.
That's well done.
And we appreciate it.
Yeah, Sacrifice.
That's good work. And so I should say, we are a little rough around the edges. This is, we're new to this, and so we apologize if we're a little scratchy technically or otherwise. We also just had a little issue where we'd been talking for a few minutes and realized we had not been recording. So that was fun. And so we're doing all this over again.
Things you will miss.
Yes, unfortunate things, beautiful things, but nevertheless we are here now. So to give you guys a little bit of an introduction as to who we are as human beings. So I was a film student, graduated last year, and I've done some screenwriting, not professionally unfortunately, but done a couple of feature-length screenplays and also done some movie and television news and review writing for various websites over the last few years. So I'm, of course, very rich and well off because of that. And then just a big-time film buff, as we all are, and we hope you are too, or will become one by listening to this. Or you'll come to hate movies, one or the other. We'll see. Will?
Born and raised here in Chapel Hill. I do a blog for all those interested. Check it out at Adventures in Moviegoing. Shorthand is Will Flicks. Other than that, just been obsessed with film for as long as I can remember.
Yeah. Braden?
My father has owned a movie theater here, independent movie theater here in Chapel Hill for quite some time, so I grew up around films. My educational background is not necessarily in films, but I have had the opportunity to take a few classes, smattering of them, here and there over undergraduate and graduate coursework. But
Right.
But it's mostly just having grown up around them and being in a household where film was, very important. So I try to watch what I can now. So
Cool. But yeah, so that's a little bit about ourselves, and you'll come to know us in future episodes. Braden just had a little knocking of a shelf nearby, so don't worry about that. That's nothing. And so this is, just to give you a little, what's the comment? It's going to be very laid back. We're not superstars, but we're, just love to talk about movies, and so that's what we're going to do. And unless you guys have anything else, I guess we can just jump into Cars 3, which we'll say Braden was not able to see the movies, unfortunately, just due to schedule and all that, but he will probably join us next week for Transformers, which will be super fun. So it might just be Will and I talking for a little while, but that's all you need, really. We're good to go. So let's jump into Cars 3, and we've got a clip. Let's take a listen.
Hey, what was my speed?
I don't know. I can only track you on the treadmill.
No treadmills.
Oh, what about Hamilton?
Hamilton here.
Who's Hamilton?
My electronic personal assistant. Like on your phone. You do have a phone, don't you?
Race cars don't have phones, Cruz.
Hamilton, track Mr. McQueen's speed and report it.
Tracking.
I'll stay as close as I can. Your suit will transmit your speeds to Hamilton.
Fine, whatever.
All right. So Cars 3 is directed by Brian Fee, and it features the voice cast of Owen Wilson, Cristela Alonso, Chris Cooper, Nathan Fillion, which I didn't know. I didn't realize until afterwards, and Armie Hammer. And the IMDb plot synopsis is Lightning McQueen sets out to prove a new generation of racers that he's still the best race car in the world. So, Will, thoughts on Cars 3?
First, I gotta say I have a routine love for Pixar, so I may be a little biased. But I really enjoyed the film. I don't think it had the oomph, say, of the first Cars or something like Inside Out or Brave.
Yeah.
I did love that they managed to splice Paul Newman back into the film.
Right. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, I have some more notes here, but we can get into it. I mean, I thought it was okay. I'm also a big Pixar fan for the most part. The last, I think, really good thing they did was Inside Out, and which I absolutely loved. I thought Cars 3 was okay. Just kind of, for one thing, it's too long. It's like an hour and 50 minutes. Let's cut that down, shall we? Yeah, let's cut it down. I mean, I think it's... actually, one quick story here. So, in the theater, set at the very back, right as the movie started, a family, this mother and daughter, were sitting there chatting, and then all of a sudden, the father came in with this huge thing of popcorn, and like the daughter went crazy, and like the dad surprised the child, and so that was probably the best part of the movie for me. So if you're listening, Dad, out there, I don't know where you are, somewhere in North Carolina, you done good.
Always like hearing that.
Yeah. Oh, and also, I absolutely forgot that they were playing a short film before Pixar movies, and so I had absolutely no idea what was going on during the short film until I realized it at the very end. I said, "All right, where are the cars? Let's see the cars." And well, what did you think of the short film, first of all?
I'm not a fan of short films in general. Truth be told, I forgot all about it until you just mentioned it.
Nice. I think it's called Lou, and it was about this bully, or like kind of a mean kid who starts just bullying on other kids for various reasons, and then he finds all these lost items in a Lost and Found, and it's fine, but it's I probably liked it about as much as Lava for Inside Out, which wasn't that great either, I thought. But anyways, so what do you think of the animation? Like, I mean, it's pretty good for the most part, I think.
Yeah, it's Pixar. They're pretty routine in quality.
Yeah. I mean, do you think it's getting to the point where most people are catching up to where people aren't going out to see Pixar movies for the animation?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Braden, what do you think?
Yeah, I think CGI, full-on CGI has gotten so good that so many studios can do it now that it's not really a novelty anymore. People go for the characters, for the voice actors, for the story, not necessarily for the spectacle of CGI.
Right.
And
Go ahead, Will.
I was going to say, in terms of story, I think that's where Pixar's still on the forefront.
Sure.
Especially with films like WALL-E and Up.
Yeah. And Brandon, are you a fan of Pixar in general, or do you?
I am. I'm not as familiar with their library. A lot of the animated films I've seen lately, I mean, Laika, for all intents and purposes, I've been huge on Laika.
I fucking love Laika, yeah.
Yeah, and Will, I know, is huge on Laika, and I went and saw Kubo.
Oh, yeah.
Kubo and the Two
It's
Strings. Awesome. And what was the other one that you always mentioned? Coraline?
Coraline's great.
Paranorman,
that's it. Yeah, which I went and saw that, and that was really charming as well.
Yeah. What about Box Trolls? I feel like that's probably considered to be the least.
Still entertaining, but
yeah.
Nothing compared to, say, Kubo or Coraline or Paranorman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Box Trolls was a lot of fun. Honestly, for me, the villains made it fun.
Yeah.
So they were just so goofy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I enjoyed Box Trolls. It was charming.
Yeah. But anyways, so one thing I wanted to bring up is is it fair to judge? Because I would say Cars 3 is much more of a kids movie than an adult, or at least compared to something like Inside Out, which is a little bit heavier a little more. I mean, not necessarily adult oriented, but it has some adult themes in there. And do you think it's fair to like judge a kids movie as an adult, and say, okay, well, it was bland, it was predictable, blah 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 blah, or is it not? Should I just go in like a kid and enjoy myself?
I'd say a bit of both. I've always asked myself, why should a 10-year-old suffer through a bad film just because they're 10 years old?
Yeah, sure. Braden?
Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one.
Yeah.
I think everybody is entitled to their opinion. You should have it, regardless of what age you are. And it's good, but I think it's rare if somebody can sort of disconnect themselves from their maturity and just go watch a movie and say, that was awesome, I really enjoyed that, and I would have loved that the same at 10 as I do now at 20 or 30 or 40 or whatever.
Right.
But if you don't, there are still aspects of films that you can judge regardless of your age. The technical aspects, the writing, the acting, the whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Anyhow, so yeah, I think it is okay for people to have opinions. For older people to have opinions on children's films.
Only we can
Obviously,
have
I think
opinions.
Yeah, I think children are going to have opinions on adult films that they watch. Mostly find them dull and boring and so forth. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, what'd you think of the that supporting character, that Chris Ramirez? Did you think she was? I felt like how it ended up was a little lame. Like well, that's a spoiler, but how the character ends up in the final race. Did you like that?
Again, I found it to be predictable.
Yeah.
More, I thought it was a catalyst for the Lightning McQueen character.
Yeah.
And kind of his transformation, as you find, say, in some athletes from playing to coaching.
Yeah. And but the thing is, they spend so much time with that character in the middle. Like, there's a big chunk of this movie that's like kind of the development of, or the redemption of McQueen, and it just like, I know it's I think, but even kids in my theater, they seemed kind of bored at times. Like, and there weren't many laughs either. Were there many laughs in your theater, or were there many people in yours?
To be fair, I was one of two in
nice.
the theater, and it was my good buddy Daniel who goes with me all the time.
Oh, nice. You grab those 10 o'clock shows, right?
Pretty frequently.
Lots of times, yeah. Nice.
So that's the downside of a kid's film. When you're out that late,
Yeah.
there's no kids there to judge that kind of thing.
Yeah, we hope parents aren't taking their kids out.
I could come up with examples, but that's another time.
Yeah, sure. And so, one thing is the first trailer for this movie. Brandon, did you see the first trailer where it showed like Lightning McQueen like turning over and it was super intense and heavy?
Yeah. I saw that and I thought that's sort of a gut-wrenching tearjerker of an ad, which I thought was kind of strange. I mean, just on this again, I haven't seen the film, so I can't judge the film itself.
Yeah.
But there seems to be a trend, at least among a lot of these CGIs, that the further they get into the series, the more oriented towards sort of adult audiences they are. Which I guess the concept is that people have been growing up with the films, but I mean the time horizon, the chronology on these things doesn't seem to really necessarily match up. When did the first Cars come out?
06, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Right, so I mean the people who saw that in the theaters when they were younger are in their late teens, early 20s now, I would guess.
Something like that.
And that's not an age demographic, which really is, I don't know, they don't strike me as being the types that would go pay good money to see what is essentially a kid's film in the theater. So I don't know what they're trying to do, but it seems as though a lot of those films, the third, the fourth, the whatever, are more focused on trying to pull in adult audiences, at least in terms of the story and that kind of thing, which is why, harkening back to your comment, a lot of the children seem somewhat bored in the theater, is because there's not the snappy, fast-paced action that you would get in like a full-on kids film.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, because like what I was just talking about, like the middle, there's not a lot of like action, quote unquote, and it's just kind of them, McQueen trying to get his wheels back, tires back, and it's so that part I was a little bored. Well, what'd you think of the cast? Oh,
fantastic. Owen Wilson, I love Chris Cooper, and Nathan Fillion, both I thought were fantastic.
Sure.
You know.
I do like Armie Hammer. He maybe just the character was so over the top that I wasn't enamored by him. But I mean, now he was just in Free Fire, and he was in The Lone Ranger, which is amazing. We can all admit it's an underrated masterpiece. Gore Verbinski is the man. We can do a review of that later at some point.
We'll do a retro flashback.
Yes.
He was in The Social Network as well.
Correct. Oh yeah, he played one, and then he was digitally digitally made for the other one.
Yeah.
Whatever you call that.
The Von Winkle twins or whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I like him generally. I mean, I think he's kind of has that almost like a classic movie star type style to him and look to him, and so I think that's. But yeah, I mean, he was fun in the movie. And did you find it that funny, Will, or as funny as you find other Pixar movies, which can be either way?
No. And nor did I find it as emotional as like I said before, as others.
And what I'd say the one joke I did laugh at is when McQueen is talking to his female car friend in the garage near the beginning, and she's like, "The way you've been working that primer, you've never been more attractive," or something like that. That is like the best thing, and I could tell that was for adults because I was the only one laughing. So obviously that means something.
But I love when films like that work on two different levels.
I know, yeah. So that one was good. And you know the kind of rally dirt race in the middle of the movie where they go to that place?
Yeah, almost like a monster truck kind of rally.
Did you get a Mad Max Fury Road vibe in there? Along with the fire and all the chaos.
No, but I really wasn't thinking about it at the time.
Sure. So, well, listeners will come to know I absolutely love Mad Max Fury Road. Best thing that's happened to the world in a long time, I would say. But anyways, I got a hint. And how's this? I mean, do you like Cars 2 at all, Will?
It's my least favorite of the Pixar films. I thought they went on. I mean, again, it's an animated film and suspension of disbelief and whatnot, but I thought they took it a little too far out there for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and I'm not crazy about the designs of a lot of the cars, or at least the supporting cars, supporting characters, whatever you call it. Maybe a little too goofy, a little too goofy.
But again, they're supporting. I think they're supposed to be a little
Sure.
less than your central.
The one thing I will say, Larry the Cable Guy,
I'm tired of him.
Get him out. Get the fuck out. Like, he's like, I think they put him in the first one because wasn't that around the time when Larry the Cable Guy was like getting popular?
Yeah, roughly. That was the whole redneck comedy tour thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
and all that.
like
Jeff Foxworthy, and I can't even remember the other
brutal.
guys.
And and so like, okay, let's get him in there. Then they made Cars 2, so like, okay, let's bring him back because that was right around the time that I guess he was dying out, and now it's just like an obligation. Like he's awful, and just his style of comedy is just
Yeah.
Can't
I was never a fan.
Yeah, me neither. Wait, you weren't a fan of Delta Farce, that gem from a few years ago?
Oh my god, I totally forgot about that.
Brilliant film.
Wasn't that really the only live action film that he's ever?
Probably.
Yeah.
A brilliant film, that. Okay, well, since, I guess that might be about it for what I got. Will, you got much else?
The one thing I'd like to add is I liked how at times it had kind of like an old West feel to it.
Oh, yeah, that's one thing I did want to bring up. I like the Western setting, so
Yeah.
I would agree.
And, I'm a big fan of those old cowboy films and really enjoyed seeing
Same.
here.
Same. So yeah, I mean visually, I think just from a visual standpoint, that was cool.
Yeah.
Definitely. And this is probably about on par with the first Cars. Like I'm not a Cars fan really, but it's a serviceable, charming movie. I'm not gonna trash it to death.
It serves its point.
Exactly. All right. Well, Braden, anything you want to add before we move on? No.
No, again, hopefully I'll get to catch that in the theater, but I'm not. Pixar's done some wonderful stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think the Toy Story series in particular has been spectacular, but I'm a bitter old man,
Mm-hmm.
and
As we all are.
As we all are. And I haven't had the opportunity to catch Cars. Maybe I'm a little too cynical, and some of these animated films aren't as, I really should go see Inside Out because
It's great.
it was Pixar that did Up, or
Yeah.
it was.
yeah, I mean, and that was a spectacular.
It's the same
film.
guy and
Oh,
Monsters
really?
Inc.
Oh,
Which is my favorite.
and Monsters Inc. also was
Awesome.
but at least the
Awesome.
first one was quite enjoyable.
Yeah.
So I mean, Pixar does have some real gems under their belt, but for some reason, Cars just never appealed to me as much. In large part because of Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah.
But
Damn it, Larry. Damn it.
damn you. But I don't know. The animated films, unless there's again the CGI. If it's CGI, I've seen CGI. I went and saw Avatar.
Yeah.
God help me. So that was enough CGI to last me for quite some time.
Yeah.
And now, if I'm going to see an animated film, I want something which is a little more. Give me the stop motion.
A little
stuff.
more substance.
Back to stop motion. I want more. I want more Leica Studios. I want more stop motion like that, which I thought was brilliant.
Are y'all excited for Wes Anderson's new stop motion movie? Do y'all hear about that? Come out next year. Called Isle of Dogs.
No, I haven't heard of that.
It's set in, I think it's like early 20th century, set in London-ish, maybe somewhere. And the voice cast is insane. Like, it has every person you could possibly imagine.
Well, I mean, it's Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
And his films are always sort of a smorgasbord of every popular, big time A-lister out there.
Yeah, but that might be the next. Actually, might be the next. It doesn't come out till March-ish, and so I think we've got a while before we get another stop motion one. But we'll get there.
Well, I mean, Fantastic Mr. Fox was
It's amazing.
spectacular.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's so great.
So I'm really looking forward to that. And either of you guys know if Aardman has anything coming up this year? Because I thought they were working on something else.
Is that the one who did whatchamacallit?
They were the ones that did Chicken Run. They did Pirates! Exclamation point.
Oh, the Band of Misfits one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Which again, Aardman started in stop motion, and then they did Pirates as full on CGI. And
Yeah.
it was still a very good film, but it lost some of its charm.
But I have no idea if they have anything on the horizon.
Yeah, no, they wasn't that one. They did something as full CGI. What was it? Pirates was still stop motion. Now I remember, but anyhow, so our Aardman is I love Aardman. Go watch some of their old stuff, Creature Comforts, where they got their start, the little ad series on TV in the UK, and Wallace and Gromit.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love Wallace and Gromit. So.
All right. Well, that's about it. I think we can call it quits on Cars 3. And Will, do you want to rate this puppy? You want to do like out of 4 stars? I think that's
2.5 out of 4.
2.5. I'm going 2. And if anyone out there has suggestions about, we'll bring this up later on, but you can contact us at thefilmbudspodcast@gmail.com. And if you have any questions, you want to just send us hate mail, whatever you want to do, please feel free, and we can even read some questions or comments on the show, as we will be doing later. And so please, if you have, even just if you want to criticize us for our rating system, feel free. All right, so then I guess we can move on to Rough Night, and we've also got a clip for this one, and Will looks super excited, so let's take a listen.
She's going really fast. Oh my gosh, what is she doing? Oh my god. Are you okay?
I'm good. I'm really good.
You sure? Because you landed right on your neck.
Yeah, I just did a sort of straight shot, landed on the neck, snap, and we're back up.
How are you alive right now?
I don't know, but I'll take it.
All right. So Rough Night is directed by Lucia Aniello, and stars Scarlett Johansson, Zoe Kravitz, Kate McKinnon, Ilana Glazer, and a few other weird people, or other people, not weird. And the IMDb plot synopsis is: things go terribly wrong for a group of girlfriends who hire a male stripper for a bachelorette party in Miami. Will, what are your first thoughts?
Things went terribly wrong when I saw this movie.
Ah, yes. I think we had a similar experience.
Let's just say I had a rough night watching it.
Oh, damn it, Will. You took my line.
You know me, I love a good pun.
I know.
I was just bitterly disappointed. I thought for an R-rated party comedy, it didn't go far enough, especially with Kate McKinnon. I love her on SNL. I loved her in Ghostbusters, and she's very goofy.
Yeah.
I thought that they just kind of put a leash on her and said, "Don't go there."
Yeah.
And you know, with the rise of, say, like films like Bridesmaids, the films where women can do the Hangover kind of film.
Yeah.
It's been done. It's been done better.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I hate to be this cynical on the first show, but I thought this was an absolute piece of shit movie. Like, this is probably one of the worst comedies I've seen in a couple years, I would say.
I would go beyond just comedy. It's one of the worst films I've seen,
Yeah.
period, in a couple
like,
of years.
good Jesus. Like, okay, so just all around, this movie is terrible. It's directed and edited horribly. Like, like how characters are reacting and how you see characters doing things is super clunky and awkward. Like, tonally, it's just tone deaf completely. I didn't know, okay, are we, like, when, it's not a spoiler because it's in the trailer, but when they accidentally kill this male stripper, it's like, first it's kind of serious, then it's not, then 20 minutes later it's nothing at all, and then they come back to it, and it's all over the place. It doesn't, they spend way too much time on that. The boyfriend character of Scarlett Johansson is horrible, Will.
Oh, completely.
He is horrible. Horrible, Braden. I wish you could have seen this because he is so bad.
You're making me glad I didn't see it.
Yeah. So
I think that should be a requirement to come on the show. You have to have seen Rough Night.
yeah, just in general.
See how you were telling me about it the other day, and I decided I was actually going to go see that over Cars 3 because I figured if I'm going to watch a film, I want to see something distasteful, so at least I have more to say about it.
Yeah.
And I guess Rough Night fits that bill.
Oh God. It's just like, for one thing, no one felt invested at all besides Kate McKinnon-ish.
Yeah.
And
all these characters weren't developed.
yeah, like, you don't know. It just, yeah, like, no one felt authentic for one thing. They just felt like they were just reaction, like, pieces, like going around doing things. And it's not just super unfunny, but it is very unfunny for the most part. But also, it's like, for one thing, the boyfriend character who's or fiance of Scarlett Johansson, he decides to go and drive out to where they're staying in Miami to potentially fix their relationship, and they spend like the second half of the movie, like at least half the amount of time on him, and it's like he could just go. Like, I thought he was just going to appear at the very beginning, then be out. That's it, and then it's just going to be the girls, you know.
I was going to say, and the jokes they did with him were
God.
bad.
Horrible.
I mean, I've got the attention span or the comedy styles of like a third grader, which it seemed like these jokes were aimed for, and
right.
I'm like, I just want this to end.
Oh, God. And even for an hour and 40 minutes, it was long.
Talk about a film. Yeah, like you're saying, it's too long.
Yeah. Like, I guess, this isn't really a spoiler, but they have this running gag with a baby. He wears an adult diaper. So they bring up some story in the about midway through the film where this guy tells a story about a person who drove like across the country wearing an adult diaper. And so that way he didn't have to stop and save time, etc. And so he goes and buys an adult diaper. And then every time you see him, he's just walking around with no pants, just a diaper and a t-shirt, like in a gas station, blah, 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 blah. And it's so unfunny and unnecessary. And there's even a scene, you know that gas station scene?
Yeah.
It goes on so long. It's just like where he pulls up in his car, needs money, and then the truck driver who's stopped offers to give him or pay him for a blowjob, and then the next guy who pulls up does the exact same thing, and it's like, this isn't really funny, and it just feels so fake.
And it was repetitive. I thought they could have done it once. It was unfunny. Let's move on.
Yeah. But no, it's like a 10-15 minute sequence broken up, into a few pieces, I think, but it's just like stuff like that. I just was rolling my eyes and I could not wait to leave. Because I was at the very, very back. The door was right next to me. I wanted to go. So.
I must confess there were times where I pulled out my phone and checked Facebook.
Sure.
Which seemed to be the highlights of that movie.
Yeah, like, and there's one thing is there's just no pace to this movie. It just feels so limp and lifeless. You know, it's just, and what else do I got here? Blah 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 blah.
To me, it seems like they stole concepts from other films,
Oh,
like
totally.
Weekend at Bernie's, for instance. And didn't do anything with them.
Yeah, and one thing I guess, and Brain, you can even chime in here. It's like the worst trend in comedies now is having everything center around a party. It's like, you know, starting with like Bridesmaids or the, I guess The Hangover, and Neighbors.
Yeah.
Particularly since Neighbors, every mainstream comedy feels the need to inject characters who usually don't drink or do drugs and have comedy ensue from that.
Yeah.
And it's just, and like there's a new one coming out with Amy Poehler and Will Ferrell at the end of the month. That's the exact.
Oh, the casino.
The house thing.
The house. That's it.
And it's just, that's all, and they're just retreading the same material, you know.
It's pretty bad. I don't know why they keep sort of regurgitating a lot of these ideas, these comedies. It's you know, Bridesmaids. I think we were discussing this the other day, but Bridesmaids, the cast seems organic. It seems, you know, these are all women who are like spectacular comedians.
Yeah.
Comics. I don't know what the PC thing is. The PC phrase.
Comedias, I think, is the word.
Okay. But they're all.
All right, so sorry if you a little bit of a pickup there. We had a trash truck or garbage truck right outside our recording place, which shall remain nameless. And
Shrouded in mystery.
Sorry. So sorry about the any beeping or anything like that disruption. But anyways, Braden, you were saying something about Bridesmaids.
Well, yeah, Bridesmaids. I mean, the cast that you've got Kristen Wiig, who's just genius. Mm-hmm. You've got Melissa McCarthy, who's just genius and absolutely fearless. I mean, she's just hilarious.
Yeah.
She's so funny. And you've got Maya Rudolph, again, very talented, SNL alum. I mean, and these are all women who have a background in comedy and who work together well. Whereas Bridesmaids, I mean, the cast, Kate McKinnon and Alana Glazer, okay, fine, and it sounds in particular like the two of them, they sort of put reins on them, muzzled them a bit, which is not good, because, I mean, that's what makes Alana Glazer so funny in Broad City, is the fact that she's just so out there.
Yeah.
And in your face, and you can either cope with it, or you can get scared and crawl back in your hole.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Zoe Kravitz?
She's... I liked her in Mad Max, but other than that, I mean, she's fine. She's not terrible in the movie, but
yeah, I mean, she was there in Dope. Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's pretty much all you can say. She was there.
Yeah. She's quite pretty.
She was nice to look at,
stunning
but
lady.
Yeah, she is. But her character was pivotal in Dope, but didn't really do a whole heck of a lot.
Right.
And so I can't speak as to what she does in Rough Night, but it just she sort of, I don't know that she necessarily fits there. And then you've got Scarlett Johansson. Mm-hmm. And I would never think of this ensemble cast together.
Exactly.
And it's not like Reese's peanut butter cups. It's not chocolate peanut butter and they work great. It's like I don't know, spaghetti sauce and gummy bears or something.
And see, but the thing is, like you say, like, having a group of people who you wouldn't think would be a cast, that's fine, that can be good, but in this case, it's not. It's really bad.
Yeah.
Like, Zoe Kravitz is nothing, and Braden, you and I were talking about this the other day, it's like, Scarlett Johansson, with the work she's been doing lately, like, Under the Skin, and Her, and all these, and even in Ghost in the Shell, where, I mean, it's not an amazing movie, but her performance in it was quite, I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Will, I don't know, Will, you're kind of smiling. Anyways, I love Scarlett Johansson, so I'll defend her to death. But
no, I agree with you. I her Under the Skin, brilliant. I mean, I gotta say, I actually quite enjoyed her as Black Widow, as Natasha Romanoff in the Marvel films, and All of those actors have gotten really good performances out of them, and Scarlett Johansson is she's done some spectacular work.
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And so, going back and doing this sort of random comedy seems
Yeah.
a bit strange.
It's like it just feels so. Now I'm sure she just did it for either the money, to work with a few friends,
Yeah.
or just for the hell of it. But like this just feels very beneath the other stuff she's been doing, really.
Yeah.
And so, and particularly just how the rest. Now, if it was just unfunny, or if she was a supporting character, would have been more understandable. But she's the main character, and her character is nothing at all, and it's very bland and unfortunate. But poor thing, but I think she'll live.
I think so.
Yeah.
She'll come out unscathed, more or less.
Yeah, I hope so. Actually, going back to Marvel for a second, do you think we're gonna get that Black Widow spinoff solo movie?
No.
No.
I think they've even said, I could be wrong on this. I mean, Will, you probably know because I think you keep up with the scuttlebutt on that better than I do. But I've heard that they have no plans for doing a standalone Black Widow film. I think if they were going to do that, they would have done that much earlier in the series.
Yeah.
It could be because she was, I think, one of the more minor characters in the comic books.
Yeah.
And so they didn't want to necessarily take a chance on a standalone film on a character who was, I think, again in the comics, certainly not in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but at least in the comics, a more minor character. I could be wrong on that.
I would like.
I mostly read X-Men as a kid. Never got really into Avengers.
Right.
So I could be wrong there. But then again, they went and did Guardians of the Galaxy, which is sort of one of their B-list comic properties.
Yeah.
And that's done exceptionally well.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think if they go, I mean, we're getting way off track here. Sorry, but I mean, if Marvel does go like kind of in the goofier route, like here we can take these B grade characters and just bring them to the forefront and just embrace the weirdness. It could be really cool, like they did with Guardians. Like they're doing that Squirrel Girl. They just announced some new movie with Spider-Man. I think. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank here, and I guess you too.
The last I heard was that they leaked they're doing a trilogy with the new Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything.
So starting with Homecoming. And
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm about done talking this piece of shit movie, so let's.
Can we please move on?
Yeah. All right. So out of 4, Will.
0.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if. I guess we can go off, I don't know, like Roger Ebert or something, but like out of the 4 stars. But I'll go very, very light, 0.5. If I could go 0, I would. It was worst film I've seen this year, spoiler alert. But yeah, please don't go see it. Do yourself a favor and go see Transformers. I'm sure it's going to be brilliant. All right, so with that all done, we hope you enjoyed it. We can move on to a few discussion topics. One, we have a couple from some buddies of mine who were kind enough to write in questions, so thank you very much if you're listening. Hope you are. Better be listening and downloading. Yep. And so first off is one from my friend Jacob, who writes, what makes a movie that's considered to be bad by critics, audiences, etc., redeeming or good for you? And whether that be nostalgia or you just really enjoy a certain type of film or character, etc. He's curious about that. So what do y'all think?
For me, it's a combination of things. Yes, the nostalgia thing. Take the new Power Rangers film, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
I was super excited, and it was I had fun watching it for an hour and a half, hour 45, however long it is, and remembering my childhood.
Yeah.
But one of the things, if it's a bad film, was there a part of it that entertained me? Was there a character I really liked? Was there a one-liner that I found particularly stupid and funny?
Yeah.
So kind of a factor of all those for me.
Sure. Braden, what about you?
I've always liked films that are sort of self-aware of how bad they are.
Mm-hmm.
They know they don't really have much to offer. They know the script, the effects, all of that is just terrible, and so they don't attempt to to elevate themselves in any. So they play to their strength, which is to say, you know, if we're bad and we have horrible effects and horrible dialogue, and we're just going to ham it up.
Yeah.
We're gonna make the wires visible. We're gonna, you know, they just go all out in terms of just making a horrible film.
Get some boom mic shadows in there.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly, right? One of my favorite films of all time is still Army of Darkness.
Oh, nice. That's
Right?
awesome.
So brilliant film,
Yeah,
and again, that's because, you know, over the series of the films, you know, you had your first Evil Dead, then Evil Dead 2, and then and the director's name is escaping me.
Sam Raimi?
Sam Raimi, thank you.
The Raimster.
Sam Raimi became aware over the course of the films, you know, sort of how bad they were. And so in the third film, he and Bruce Campbell just balls out bad. And it's still one of my favorite films. I mean, I wish I could say something nostalgia or something like that, but you know, so many films I would be nostalgic for, like Transformers, right? The first one I kind of enjoyed. And then it's just gone steadily downhill from there.
Yeah.
And G.I. Joe, the first film was...
You mean G.I. Joe the movie, like the animated one? Or the one with...
The live
Tatum?
action one, the first one, Channing Tatum.
Channing, yeah.
And, who was it, Marlon Wayans?
I can't recall.
One of the Wayans. I think there was a secret cloning facility somewhere in, like, Montana.
Was The Rock in that one, or was it just in retaliation?
No, he was only in retaliation. So he didn't even show up for a cameo in the first. Brendan Fraser did, oddly enough, but not Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Above that.
But I mean, those films, you would think, you know, I grew up playing with those toys, and you would think, oh, you know, nostalgia, those would be great. No, they were, bleh.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's unfortunately not nostalgia. I don't know anything about characters. I'm trying to think of other bad films besides Army of Darkness that I like.
Bubba Hotep was a big one for me.
Bruce Campbell's the king of just cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that camp kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, but yeah, I mean, the self-awareness,
Yeah.
that campiness. If you know you're going to be bad, go camp.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm not too different. I mean, I guess there are recent films like, I don't know, Suicide Squad. My buddy Paul, who I'm going to read a question for, is an absolute hater of that movie beyond belief. But I mean, just films like that kind of try to do something different, even if they fail. Like, I would rather have a movie that tries to, or usually not always, but tries to be ambitious and at least sometimes fails, rather than just one that kind of coasts along doing just what they feel safe doing. And so, I mean, in a way, I feel like Suicide Squad did that. And The Lone Ranger, which, I mean, I'm not going to talk to The Lone Ranger to death here, but, yeah, I mean, it can be nostalgia. Like, Monsters, Inc. is one of my favorite movies. I know it, like, that's not considered to be the absolute top Pixar movie, I guess, by the population of the world. But it's like, you know, even if there are small flaws, sometimes just being a kid and seeing that movie, certain time, certain place, it sticks with you, you know. And for me, it's like if it's very character driven, even if other things are not as great, like plot, visuals, etc., it can still be like something like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which is one of my favorite movies. Like, I'm absolutely fascinated with the Elizabeth Salander character, and even if other elements of the movie aren't maybe up to that high level, it can still be amazing to watch just because of that character and your kind of connection to it, you know.
Well, which version are you talking about? The original, what was it, Swedish version, or are you talking about the David Fincher?
I love both. I'm a huge Fincher head.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I can say I've seen the American one more, but I do love the Swedish one as well, just as much.
Because I definitely would say that neither version was bad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think both are great.
And yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the performances in both. I haven't read the story. Maybe I should go back and actually read it. There's a lot of controversy. I guess the fellow that was Lars Stig Olsen.
Stieg Larsson, yeah.
Stieg Larsson died, I guess, when he was writing the series or something?
Yeah, so he, another brief tangent here. So he submitted all three manuscripts at once to the publisher, and very shortly after that he had a heart attack and died. and so he didn't get to see any of the.
Yeah.
And I mean now they've gone on to do a fourth one with a different writer, and they're actually
Yeah.
having a new one come out again this
Another
year.
one, really.
And then their next, in terms of movies, next October, November, they're adapting the fourth non-book, book after the trilogy, with the guy who did Don't Breathe last year.
Yeah.
And I think they're looking at, for the girl, they're looking at, I think Alicia Vikander has been in talks, and then also some girl from that Crown show on Netflix has been. I never saw that, but anyways.
Because that's what made it for me a lot was the Swedish version you had. It was Noomi Rapace, right?
Yeah, she's awesome.
And she's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the U.S. version you had
Rooney Mara.
Rooney Mara. And I thought particularly the chemistry between Rooney Mara and then Daniel
Craig.
was just amazing.
Yeah.
So and then the story and David Fincher and the music and
The score,
score,
Trent Reznor
yeah.
and Atticus Ross are awesome.
Exactly.
They need to do more stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm really excited for the. Although I wish Fincher, originally Fincher was going to do all three movies or all three books at once, but then his version didn't make all that much money,
Yeah,
and so
which
then
is
they
a shame.
canned it, and so that's just obnoxious.
How did Gone Girl do?
Oh, it did really well. It made
See-
500 mil, I think.
Because I enjoyed that, but honestly, for me at least, I enjoyed Girl with the Dragon Tattoo more. There seemed a little more sort of gripping
Yeah.
something to it. Whereas I thought Gone Girl, it had that sort of weird David Fincher thriller vibe to it, which I thought was really good, but I don't, Rosamund Pike, I always love her, but I just thought the character, her portrayal of it was spectacular, but I just thought the character was so...
Crazy.
Well, crazy, yes. I mean, that's the point. Is she supposed to be? But it seemed a little staid or something. A little flat.
Been there, done
Oh,
that.
it's another sociopathic, crazy person. Oh,
Spoiler.
They're
Yeah.
all over the place.
Yeah.
Let's do something new. Which is what I liked about the characters in Girl with the Dragon Tattoos. They're so again, you've got a fellow who's an investigative journalist, and a young woman who all kinds of bad stuff has happened to her, and she's just brilliant.
Yeah.
And is a bit of a sociopath in a way, but that's what sort of allows her to rise above all of her bullshit circumstances.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Anyhow, I'm taking things away.
Oh no. And correction. I think I actually made it like 250 million, not 500 million. So for all the statisticians out there, I'm sorry if I.
But
yeah.
I guess the I don't know that I would ever really consider Girl with any David Fincher film for that matter. Quote unquote. I'm doing air quote bunny ear things here. Bad.
Yeah.
There's just the less popular and the really spectacularly, outlandishly good David Fincher films, i.e. Social Network.
Oh God, so great.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and he has that new. I guess he's only doing the first 2 episodes, but he has that Netflix show coming out in October or November. Can't remember the name of it. But yeah, so that's. I wish he was doing another movie, kind of, rather than just 2 episodes of a show like he did with House of Cards. But
Yeah.
I'll take it. It looks weird and twisted, so that's good enough for me. All right. So, any other things about that y'all want to talk about? Bring up before we move on.
No, I'm good.
All right. All right. So the next one is from our my buddy Paul, who I was just briefly mentioned. So thank you, Paul, for writing in. That was very kind of you. And so he writes because he's a huge comic book fan, aficionado, and he's hopefully going to be on the show at some point over Skype to maybe talk some of the Marvel movies. But he writes, so if they allow directors free reign, or artists, in other words, like auteur directors free reign over the DC extended universe, as they've kind of been doing with Zack Snyder and David Ayer a little bit, is it going to be a good thing, or is it a bad thing? Like, because Marvel get a bunch of these, nobodies, a bunch of yahoos to direct their movies, besides, like, I guess James Gunn and
I call Joss Whedon a pretty big name personally.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
Joss
okay,
Whedon's
okay.
huge.
All right. Besides, all right. So Joss Whedon, James Gunn, but like people like this guy who directed Doctor Strange, and even the guy who's doing Spider-Man: Homecoming. These guys have very little, I guess, background, which isn't a bad thing. But then it's just I feel like they just kind of they get a formula, they're willing to do it because it's this huge movie, and then they do it, and so it Marvel maintains this formula, which is clearly working critically and financially, which is fine. Even though I'm getting slightly tired of Marvel stuff here and there. But do you think that DC is better to like get someone like James Wan for Aquaman, who did The Conjuring, or do you think they should just get more lower tier people? Well,
I mean, it's a good question. It's worked with Marvel. I don't think they should try and do exactly what Marvel's doing. Truth be told, I just don't know. I'd love to see them get rid of Zack Snyder because Batman vs Superman, not the best film in the world.
I'm a defender, but I know what you mean.
But I think they could benefit from some kind of upper management saying, let's do this, this, and this, and you fill in the blanks.
Yeah. Braden, any thoughts?
That's a tough one. I mean, DC is always going to sort of pale in comparison in the DC Marvel, dichotomy. I think, which is unfortunate for them because I think the characters are fascinating. The comic books are good, but for some reason they haven't quite hit their stride yet. Hopefully, Joss Whedon helming the Marvel Cinematic, or the DC.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. I don't know how that's gonna be. I mean, because they definitely have Joss Whedon and Snyder have very different aesthetics. So I don't know.
Well, I think that's the thing is other than Watchmen, Zack Snyder hasn't done anything which really impressed me.
Same.
And I don't know. I don't want DC to be just a carbon copy of Marvel.
Yeah.
Because Marvel has obviously hit sort of a common ground in what they've done. And the interesting thing is looking at how some of their series, particularly the Captain America, has changed over time. Who is it that the Russo brothers that directed that? Yeah. So I don't know how they've done it, but somehow, whereas Guardians of the Galaxy, they've gone more sort of levity, campy, fun, goofy. You've got a dance battle as the the final confrontation in Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, and then so that was goofy fun. What they're going to do with Spider-Man, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine.
Well, apparently, I guess we can jump into this. So they did just announce that although there has now been controversy over it, like the Venom spin-off and all these other ones are going to be connected to the...
So they're doing a Venom film?
Yeah.
Really?
But Tom Hardy is Venom, which is going to be amazing.
Why do they have to do that to me?
Because Tom Hardy is the best guy. He's
Well,
awesome.
I mean, Venom is. I mean, all the Edgelord fanboys love Venom because I mean, the real Edgelord fanboys like Carnage. Are you familiar at all with Carnage?
Yeah,
No.
potentially, maybe.
Venom was, I mean, much like that terrible thing with Topher Grace. Venom
Please let me
was.
forget about that.
Yeah. Well, Venom was sort of an alien symbiote, and it took over a normal person who was just super angry, and so it became sort of like angry Spider-Man, and he was black and edgy, and all the metalheads loved him because he had black on.
Oh, yeah.
Carnage is what if somebody who's an actual sociopath and a mass murderer got the Venom symbiote. So Carnage is really out there.
Right.
And I remember there was a Carnage one-off at one point, which was really mind-bending.
Yeah.
In terms of what I wish I could remember who did it. Again, I'm not a comics aficionado. I just read what I liked as a kid. But the Carnage comic was really mind-bending. And so that would be more fascinating. But obviously, they have to keep this somewhat clean and happy for all the little children out there who are. Getting their parents to take them to the films, that's I'm sure a huge source of revenue for them. They don't want to alienate that base. That being said, why Venom? Why and then Tom Hardy? of all people, who's a
'cause-
brilliant actor, and then they
Because
do.
he can do it. I don't want some fucking jobber going in there and just, a nobody. Get Tom Hardy who can actually act,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just seems like a property that'll fall flat for.
Oh, yeah.
It's not something that I think is worthy of Tom Hardy's.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But in terms of DC getting all these big name people, I don't think it's a good idea. The long and the short of it is because Marvel, when they put that whole thing together, they had a plan. They had an idea for how they wanted to push the films, and so within each film, the directors are given certain parameters, and because these are younger guys working with these massive, younger, lesser known people, working with these massive properties, they're going to work within those parameters. Whereas if you get a bunch of auteurs trying to do their own thing, they may just go completely wherever they want, regardless of whatever parameters are set for them by the DC creative team. And so, with the Marvel properties, at least feels more cohesive, coherent.
Cohesive, I would say.
And so, the DC properties have felt a little, other than the stuff which Zack Snyder has done, which vastly sort of misses the mark in terms of comic book properties.
Yeah.
And that being the keyword, comic book properties. So it's, again, things need to be sort of aware of. This is a comic book. And Marvel's done a good job of that. DC, Zack Snyder, too edgy, too dark, too gloomy.
See, although I completely understand that, I kind of like that. Although I don't think it definitely succeeded always, I really like the dour, dark tone of Batman v Superman a lot. At least it just felt kind of refreshing. It wasn't always that. Sometimes it was way too much, but I don't mind it going dark. DC's even talking about doing potentially R-rated movies. Do you think that'd be cool?
After seeing, say, Deadpool and Logan, I would
Totally.
Yes.
totally see that, especially the dark tone Logan took.
Well, see, that's the funny thing again, is we're talking about this and as sort of a touchstone for what DC plans to do. What do? We refer to the Marvel properties. So it's unfortunate for DC just because Marvel seems to sort of beat them to the punch every time.
Yeah.
Want to do an irreverent, racy, saucy, in the blue, ultra-violent type film, Marvel's been there already. And so, again, DC has to sort of live up to, and not only has Marvel done it, Marvel did it spectacularly well.
Yeah.
I mean, Deadpool and Logan are some of the best films I've seen in the past few years.
I would agree about Logan. I don't know about Deadpool, but we can get into that.
Well,
I like Deadpool. I'm not gonna, but yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I wouldn't put it in, top 10 for the past.
Sure.
But I think it was for taking a property like it was for taking somebody like Ryan Reynolds, who he's always been trying. I don't know, great actor, but he's always been charming. And doing a film like Deadpool after that Green Lantern catastrophe.
Yeah.
Right? And again, it's a film that's self-aware of what it's doing. And I think because of that, it makes it that much more funny. And, breaking down that full fourth wall thing that they do and the whole irreverent approach to the interplay with the audience. And I think that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it was daring for that film to do that.
Sure.
And I think, their gamble paid off.
Oh, definitely.
So,
yeah, I mean, I think I would agree that in terms of the DC, I mean, so just in case people aren't aware, I mean, we're talking like Batman, Superman, I guess Wonder Woman most recently, or the film Wonder Woman, which that one has kind of struck gold, I mean, with Patty Jenkins. So I think she was a good choice because she's just enough of a unique voice, but not so far maybe like Zack Snyder that it just kind of goes off the rails a little bit,
Yeah.
But I would agree that Zack Snyder, I mean, condolences to his family. Do y'all know what happened?
Yeah,
with that? Yeah.
It's
You know, so
a tragic thing.
Yeah. So nothing against him personally, but I would say I do love the director's cut of Watchmen. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Yeah, and we'll get into Watchmen in a little bit, but yeah. So I think they do need to kind of maybe if he was just like an executive producer at most on a lot of these, and then but with they're doing Gotham City Sirens with David Ayer, who directed Suicide Squad, and he's known for really gritty, dark movies like Fury, End of Watch.
Isn't he the one that directed Suicide Squad?
Yeah. He did Suicide Squad. Yeah.
Right. So that's.
And so I feel like if they did an R-rated Gotham City Sirens and he's doing it, that would be great because he could bring that gritty, violent darkness. And if they did the R-rated one, I think that would be good. You know, but I know that I can imagine it's very hard to figure out which ones are going to be more intense, which ones aren't. You know, blah blah blah. But yeah, Will, any other thoughts?
No, I'm good.
No, all out. All right, so the next one. This one will be pretty brief, I think. But Daniel Day-Lewis just retired, or announced his retirement, I should say, last night. And he's won 3 Oscars so far for Lincoln, There Will Be Blood, and
My Left Foot.
My Left Foot. And he's gonna appear in Paul Thomas Anderson's new movie in December, and my guess is he'll either get a nomination at least for whatever that role is. But are y'all sad or are y'all just doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter. I'm a fan, but I'm not going to go see a film solely because he's in it.
Braden?
I mean, are you going to give me protective detail if I actually speak my mind here?
Speak your mind, my friend.
I don't know. I've always found him to be a little overwrought. I mean, certainly, you know, everybody's going to, he's a brilliant actor, and he's certainly more important than you are or ever will be. You'll never get an Oscar. No, I won't. You know, fine. I've made my peace with that. But I just remember seeing him in Gangs of New York and going, oh my God, so over the top.
Well, I think that role is over the top, wouldn't you say?
Well, I mean, it's like everything he does is over the top.
What about Lincoln?
Over the top.
Oh, no, he's amazing in Lincoln. But so does Leonardo DiCaprio, and he's awesome.
Well, Leo, I mean, after you watch him in, say, The Departed.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't see that as necessarily over the top. I think some of his stuff earlier in his career was a little overdone. But I just remember way back when Basketball Diaries, which was genius, and I thought he was quite good in that. Mark Wahlberg also was quite good in that. How the Mighty Have Fallen. I don't know. I mean, I'm not as familiar with Daniel Day-Lewis's entire catalog. I haven't seen My Left Foot, but after seeing him in Gangs of New York, and then seeing him in There Will Be Blood, and it just you know, he's tackled some very difficult roles in some very difficult films. But I feel that there's just a little too much something.
Yeah. Sure.
I think it will be a bit of a loss when he's gone, because he has elevated some really spectacular films and taken that bit further. Fine, but again, it's just, you know, anytime I watch him, anytime I see him in anything, you know, There Will Be Blood. You know, if I were to go back and watch My Left Foot, I'd just keep thinking of him running around New York in a fucking stovepipe hat with meat cleavers.
Yeah.
You know, that accent and the whole thing, and I don't know. Anyhow, but
understandable.
I think he's got a very long and storied career. He has certainly done very well by himself, but I won't really miss him.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I guess we'll see. I mean, so he's working with Paul Thomas Anderson again, who he worked on with There Will Be Blood, which he got the Oscar for, like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And so we'll see. I think it's a fashion drama set in the 1950s, if I'm not mistaken. So should be interesting. either way. But yeah, so that's yeah. I mean, I really like him in Lincoln a lot in particular, and I'm a huge Steven Spielberg fan, and so the two kind of go together.
For me, it's There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
I just thought all around a well-crafted film, and at the heart of it, his performance.
Yeah, that'd be my second favorite of his for sure. And yeah, I haven't seen a lot of his earlier stuff, so I've seen his big stuff, his Oscar movies, but not much else. But yeah, and so finally, so just last night as well, they announced HBO is developing a Watchmen series, which is I guess it's generally considered to be the best graphic novel of all time. Is that what most people say?
Pretty much.
The defining one, yeah.
I saw the film, and there was so much hubbub around the film, and I had a friend who's a comic book geek, and so I went and picked up the graphic novel, and I thought that it is really intense. It's really fascinating to read the comic book, and honestly, all due respect to Alan Moore, I think what they did in the film. The little twist, the comic book geeks will know me and maybe string me up for this, but I think what Zack Snyder did in terms of Dr. Manhattan's role and how the whole catastrophe is pinned on Dr. Manhattan and they turn him into a bad guy, I thought that was absolutely fascinating and a sort of a brilliant twist, which they did in the film, which in the comic book it's handled very differently.
Yeah.
And in the comic book, makes sense, ties things together, but it doesn't have, particularly with regard to ostracizing Dr. Manhattan and his whole reaction to it in the film, I thought that was brilliant. He just sort of says, okay, I'm a god now. If humanity hates me, fine, I'll just go make my own universe.
Yeah. Well, Will, do you think an HBO series, or just a series in general, that is a good idea or no?
If it was basic cable, I'd say no. I think HBO has the format to handle some more R-rated material.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
And I'm kind of pleased it's going to HBO.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go ahead.
They've done a pretty decent job with the Game of Thrones property. Mm-hmm. I watched the first couple of seasons and then dropped it for a couple of seasons, and then last season 6, 5, 6, something?
7, I don't know.
Not the final season, but the previous, chronologically speaking, the last season that was played. I don't know anyhow. Mm-hmm. But that was, I started watching it again there. Partly just to watch that because friggin' Martin hasn't put out the damn book yet. But it's, they started picking up in terms of the pacing and moving away from all the sort of salacious, hey, let's hang out in a brothel with topless women everywhere, lounging around. And,
Are you against that, Braden? We won't get into it.
It has a time and place.
Yeah,
it has
sure,
a time
sure.
and place.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, I'm with Will here. I think that HBO will do a really good job handling the Watchmen property. Who's the fellow that's going to be helming that?
Yeah, so I can jump in here. So I guess it's official that he's going to be doing it, but so Damon Lindelof is going to be doing it, who, for people who don't know, he's just recently finished up, he was a co-creator of The Leftovers on HBO, so he's already has a connection to HBO, but he was the co-creator of Lost, I believe, and he got like insane backlash for people saying he ruined the ending and just ruined the show for how that show ended. And then since then, basically everything he's done has been like he's like ostracized for it. Like he co-wrote like Prometheus, Cowboys and Aliens, Star Trek Into Darkness, World War Z, Tomorrowland.
And I was a fan of Tomorrowland, I have to admit.
Oh yeah?
Just,
all right.
Just kind of fun Disney crap, and every now and then I enjoy that.
Yeah, sure. But for The Leftovers in particular, has gotten I've seen the first season, and it's gotten very high acclaim, and so I think he's kind of redeemed himself, but his writing style is very much like bringing up questions and not really answering them all the time. Like with Prometheus, that's the big thing.
Yeah.
I think some people have issues with, like, which I love Prometheus, so I'm definitely not against Damon Lindelof.
Mm-hmm.
But like bring up all these weird things and just not giving audience answers, which I usually enjoy. But for some reason, compared to all these other, like, bunch of shitty writers in Hollywood, he gets kind of put on the cross to be indelicate.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's an interesting idea. I think Watchmen is mysterious enough to where I think his style would work for sure. But I think a Watchmen HBO series sounds awesome. So, yeah. I mean, they can go the gritty, violent, and probably not make it like too stretched out, like maybe 8 episodes a season or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering if they'll do the short format, sort of 8-10 episodes, an hour piece kind of thing that a lot of these series seem to be doing now. I mean, you look at what
True Detective.
True Detective,
Yeah,
Fargo.
Awesome.
Well, first season of True Detective was awesome.
Yeah, well, I like the second season, but the first one is amazing. I know.
Yeah, the first one is amazing. The second season, they had
It's
a really
watchable.
spectacular ensemble of characters, and they had some interesting stuff.
And the back half I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
The last 3 or 4
Yeah.
episodes.
Exactly.
Definitely.
The build up to that, it just took a little too long.
Rachel McAdams is great.
Rachel McAdams was great.
Everyone's
Vince Vaughn was spectacular. Colin Farrell was amazing. I even liked Taylor Kitsch.
Yeah.
I never understood why his character was there, but I thought he did a very good job of portraying a somewhat complex character.
You weren't a fan after Battleship? Or John Carter?
Oh, everything is just he's just brilliant. And he's redefining American
Brilliant.
acting and
Movies, yeah.
Anyhow, but yeah, I think particularly with the Watchmen property, because in the graphic novel, the characters are so complex, and I think again Zack Snyder did a very good job of portraying that
Surprisingly.
complexity in the film, but because it's only 2.5 hours roughly, you can't delve into them as much. I mean, particularly the comedian is a really messed up character. Rorschach obviously is messed up.
Yeah.
It's a little sociopath who thinks he's a hero. And, he's interesting. It's an interesting character, but I think the comedian in particular is utterly fascinating. Because here's a guy who knows what he is. I'm a big burly tough hero, and then he abuses his position to do all sorts of horrible things.
And they did that a little bit with the director's cut, which was 3 hours.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but yeah, I agree. I think a series would very much benefit characters like that. So I think whether they just do a limited series or a full, I don't know how they would go more than 3 seasons to make it really effective,
Well, that's the thing is it going to be a one-time kind of thing?
Because The Leftovers is 3 seasons, and they ended it there, and that was Lindelof, and so I feel like they might go a similar route or less. So we'll see.
Well, that's I know Penny Dreadful.
Oh yeah.
They only did 3 seasons of that, which was distressing.
Short and
because
sweet.
I loved that series, and I wish it hadn't ended.
And John Logan, the creator of that's a really good screenwriter. Like he did Hugo and Aviator and
Skyfall.
Skyfall.
Oh, yeah,
and
that's
Spectre
right.
as well. I guess he co-wrote Spectre.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's awesome, and I like what I've seen of Penny Dreadful. I really like. But I mean, the only issue is in talking about the series is I just don't have time to commit to all these shows. There's too much good TV. I can't. If it's more than 8 episodes, I'm probably not going to watch it. If that.
Well, right now, other than Twin Peaks being on, there's really because Fargo ends tonight. This 3rd season ends tonight, and so there's really not a whole heck of a lot on to. So binge and catch up with what you need to right now.
But yeah, I'm watching The Young Pope on HBO with Jude Law, which is quite fun and entertaining.
I haven't heard too much about that one.
Yeah, so he plays a very young, rebellious pope, and it's just he drinks Coke Zero and all it just has these very and he's a smoker and it's just very much flipping religion on its head.
Interesting.
And it's very over the top and stylized, and so it's a fun time. But yeah, so I don't know when the Watchmen series is going to go into development, but I'm definitely on board for it for sure. All right, so the final segment of the show, we'll wrap it up relatively quickly. We're just going to do a quick recap of the year so far. I guess we can do maybe top 3 favorites first.
Let's do it.
Will?
For me, it's Get Out, Logan, and It Comes at Night.
Nice.
I know there's 2 horror films, but I love how horror's kind of getting away from the gore aspects like Saw and Hostel and getting more into the stories.
Yeah, and just tonally being a horror movie
Yes.
rather than just maybe something like The Conjuring where it's more
And it's getting back to jump scares and
Yeah.
what's in the shadows versus going for the gross out.
Yeah. So I still need to see It Comes at Night. Hopefully I can catch it this weekend. We'll see. I need to see Transformers as well, but Braden, what about you? What have been some of the standouts this year?
I wish I had a quick and easy top three. I know two of them at least. Logan, definitely, and Alien Covenant. I thought was I've always loved the Alien series, and I thought Prometheus was quite good, and I thought Covenant was a very good sort of extension of that. So those two definitely. I don't know. Maybe something will come to me in a moment. But as for that third slot, I haven't really. We've still got quite a bit of a year left.
Sure.
But I don't know what really has caught my attention so far.
Yeah. For me, it would be probably. I mean, I really did enjoy Wonder Woman. I don't know how it's going to hold up on a rewatch like at home, but I mean, I really enjoyed that. And then it'll probably be Logan, and then maybe Alien Covenant. But I think so far this year it's been a little underwhelming for me. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, not Alien Covenant, A Cure for Wellness, which no one saw at all, and it's another Gore Verbinski gem.
Yeah, I need to. That was Gore Verbinski.
Yeah.
Really, that seems like a departure from most of what he's done.
And I don't know how he went from the Lone Ranger to doing that. But
Yeah,
in terms of just money. But
I need to see that because the visuals just look absolutely stunning.
oh yeah, they're great.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I mean, I think it's been a little underwhelming for me. But I think we got next month got Dunkirk and
War for the Planet of the Apes, which is one
Yeah.
I'm super excited for.
I know it's
Yeah.
I really want to see that. I've liked the last two.
Same.
I'm not as fanatical about the earlier films as Will here is. I remember seeing them as a wee lad because my grandfather would watch them. But
I like the originals as well.
But I mean, the reboot of the series has been spectacular, and I'm really looking forward to this third one with
Same.
Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And the fact that he's the villain really excites me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Well, I mean, Dunkirk, War for Planet of the Apes.
Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Nolan.
Yeah. He hasn't really done anything.
They just did announce the runtime for that. It's like an hour and 47 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Which surprises me considering how long his films tend to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
expecting it to be 2:45, something like that, but it's like an hour and 47 minutes, so short and sweet.
With the trailers that I've seen, it looks like it's going to be a long film because of all these sort of long, beautiful, lingering shots of planes zipping over these sort of blue beaches and so forth.
Yeah.
And so I thought that would have been very sort of
Same.
lyrical and beautiful, but I guess
Gonna be
they
short.
really went at it with a razor in the editing room.
Yeah, but it is apparently supposed to have minimal dialogue, and so maybe that's the reason for it. It's mostly just going to be visuals and just not a lot of dialogue in that. But yeah, so hoping the rest of the year is pretty good. But all right, so the worst of the year for me, Rough Night, top one by far. Then probably Pirates of the Caribbean, which was just I'm a huge fan of the first three, and not the fourth one. And this one was it was loud and dull and it was just bad. Will?
I'd put Rough Night up there. Beauty and the Beast for me
Oh, I need to see that
would
still.
be on my worst list. And the Jamie Foxx one, Sleepless, that came out
Oh, I
in
did. I
January,
missed that one.
February, was... There's films where I don't mind not getting my $10 back because I know it helps the theater out a little.
Yeah.
But I want my 2 hours back.
Yeah.
That's one of those films.
Yeah. Well, then I'll probably skip that one. I might check out Beauty and the Beast at some point, just for maybe the visual style, but I don't have much.
Cough, cough, Emma Watson, cough, cough.
Yeah. I'm not a huge Watson fan.
Okay.
Not really, at least.
One of the big things I had with it, when you're in a musical, the first requirement is you should be able to sing. And I didn't think anybody could sing their way out of a paper bag in that film.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, no one on that cast seemed like they were.
But come on, Russell Crowe did so well in Les Mis.
Oh God, let's just. I like Les Mis, but God, Russell Crowe in that is just brutal. It's not good. He was okay in The Mummy, kind of, ish. But apparently, isn't he supposed to be like the Nick Fury character of the Dark Universe.
And that's what it seemed like in that.
Oh God. Yeah. The cinematic universe is the worst thing.
Yeah.
I don't like it. But yeah, so and then most anticipated, we can just go through this a little quickly. You
I
go.
was gonna say I'm looking forward to Detroit. I'm a huge Catherine Bigelow fan. You know, Zero Dark 30, Hurt Locker, even her Point Break film in the '80s. I thought was awesome.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm with Will there. I just saw the trailer for that the other day, and Catherine Bigelow is she's utterly amazing. All the films that she's done, Hurt Locker, and Zero Dark 30, and just everything. It's just all so good.
Yeah.
So really looking forward to that. Obviously Dunkirk, because Christopher Nolan, like he's the Batman series, obviously, but then Memento, Inception. I mean everything. Interstellar, which I just saw the other day.
What'd you think?
I enjoyed it. Not a big Anne Hathaway fan.
Well,
but
you are though, right?
Oh, I am.
Yeah. Well.
I'm kind of in the middle, so.
Yeah. I don't think she's terrible, but she's just I don't know.
I think some of her dialogue is not great in that movie, like that love speech and all that jazz.
But I liked. I thought it was fascinating. The visuals obviously were stunning. I really like Matthew McConaughey, and it was nice to see a science fiction film that's not, lasers and
It puts the humanity back into it.
Yeah, exactly. It puts the humanity back into the which is always the crucial element in any story is the human aspect, the human element.
What about you guys looking forward to Blade Runner? Denis Villeneuve?
Yes and no.
Why no?
It's been so long since the original came out. I'm kind of like let it be in peace.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's
I mean they corrected history when they released the director's version, the director's cut of that, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
The original version, it's a passable film. It's fun. I mean,
That's about it.
It's a good passable film. But then you remove that irritating voiceover stuff, and you put in those few deleted scenes.
Yeah.
And it becomes an absolute masterpiece.
Sure.
Blade Runner, honestly, is still one of my, I would say, top 3 films of all time.
Oh wow.
But the director's cut, not the original release version, only the director's cut.
Sure.
So I'm a little hesitant. It's Ryan Gosling. I do like Ryan Gosling. I love Blade Runner, but at the same time, the book Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, there was only one of it. There was no sequel.
Yeah.
So why do they feel compelled to do a sequel to a film which has been dead for 25 years or something now?
Because Hollywood is dead.
No,
And they're
longer
out
than
of
that.
ideas.
It's been, good Lord, 30-something years now,
Yeah.
Blade Runner.
Yeah.
And so now they're dredging it up, and they're, that's a whole other issue, which hopefully we'll touch on at another point, is, Hollywood doesn't seem to have any original ideas anymore.
Yeah.
So.
So I mean, for me, it's like next month is pretty big. Like Dunkirk, Valerian, I think it looks really awesome. And War for the Planet of the Apes looks great. And even Atomic Blonde with Charlize Theron. I think that looks like a really fun time.
What's that about?
It's almost like a John Wick, but with Charlize Theron. But it looks so much more fun and enjoyable because of Charlize Theron. Because she's great.
I don't know. There's something to be said for Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, sure. Oh, there's something to be said, for sure.
There are probably many things to be said for Keanu Reeves.
And knowing Keanu Reeves, it's probably one syllable at a time.
I mean, you were just saying you like Catherine Bigelow in the original Point Break.
Yeah,
Come on.
I know,
Yeah.
and I stand behind that.
But yeah, I mean, like, I would check out the trailer. It looks, I mean, it's not going to be brilliant, but I think it's going to be a really enjoyable time.
I've seen the trailers. I wasn't quite sure what to make of it, but it is Charlize Theron, and I mean, she obviously can do
Anything.
Yeah, anything. And she's done some really spectacular action stuff. I mean, Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, yeah.
She was amazing in that. And then more recently, Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
What,
8.
7?
8.
26?
The Fate of the
40,
Furious.
42?
Terrible name.
Yeah.
Terrible.
So, I mean, she's got the chops. She can do it.
Yeah.
She can do it. But,
And then, I mean, yeah, like Blade Runner, I would say that PTA's new movie, like we were just talking about, the fashion drama, And then Star Wars to a certain degree. I mean,
Well-
I'm not looking super forward to it, but I think should be
I'm
fine.
looking super forward to Star Wars.
Oh, really?
'Cause, I mean, that's what I grew up with.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, one of the first memories I have was being taken to Empire Strikes Back by my aunt, my mother, as a wee child.
Wee lad.
As a wee lad. Oh, geez. Something just slipped my mind I was going to say. Anyhow, sorry.
The other one I'm looking forward to is the new Steven Soderbergh one, Logan Lucky.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that trailer was a blast to watch.
I think Daniel Craig is going to be cool in that.
Oh, I know.
You know? Like, it's very refreshing to see him out of Bond. Like in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so I
exactly.
think just seeing him kind of go crazy and it's not Bond, that's what I'm looking forward to, I think.
Honestly, I don't know if this is sacrilege. You know, I've talked to you about it before, Will, but honestly, for my money, I still think Daniel Craig is the best Bond.
He's my favorite.
Sean Connery is spectacular because he set the role, but I think what they've done in terms of the storytelling and the character with Daniel Craig is,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, they've
He's my favorite, so.
moved it to a higher spot. So
You're,
I mean, he's my second favorite. I will forever hold Sean Connery in the highest regard.
That's fair. Fair.
yeah. It's on any given day it might switch for me, but generally I like Daniel Craig.
But I
a
mean,
lot.
his films have been fantastic. Casino Royale, Skyfall, both franchise highs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, and I guess we should say Will is a huge Bond fan. You know, he even has a amazing shrine. If y'all could see inside his place, you all would, you know, wet your pants here with joy. But yeah, he has a shrine with all of the actors signed, autographed. Will, what else is there?
I got props, autographs. I even got a martini mixer from Casino Royale.
Yep.
It is
That's
a
amazing.
cinephile's dream in
Yes.
here. So, yeah. But yeah, so I've recently been going through some of Soderbergh's movies. I didn't realize how many movies he's
Done a ton. He's done a ton,
Like-
and it's a lot of the lesser known stuff that I think he's really hit the nail on the head. Like,
Go ahead.
what was it? Traffic?
Yeah.
Yeah, spectacular film.
The Informant is my favorite.
Oh,
Matt Damon.
Yeah, Matt Damon.
Yes.
Yeah, that is quite good.
And I rewatched Beyond the Candelabra, the HBO movie that he did a couple years ago.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. I
Yeah.
really liked that.
Yeah.
Oh, right, the one on who's the pianist? Liberace.
Yes.
Liberace. Who was it that played Liberace? Because I know
Douglas.
Matt Damon
Michael
played
Douglas.
Michael Douglas. Thank you. Okay, because Matt Damon played his love interest.
Mhm.
Yeah, I need to see that.
That
That's
was
supposed to be
good-
really
good-
spectacular.
Good film.
Yeah.
Good film.
So.
And like Contagion and Side Effects and
Contagion, I was a huge fan of.
Yeah.
I love those kind of paranoid films like that.
Yeah.
same. And I love Rooney Mara.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
from Dragon Tattoo. So.
I don't know what to make of the PTA film. Cause
Yeah, there's nothing. There's only been like one photo released of Daniel Day-Lewis, and so that's all you really know about it.
You
so.
see, that's the thing is I have a love-hate thing with PTA. One of the only films I've ever walked out of was Magnolias.
I actually need to see that still. That's the only one I haven't seen.
It just, it gets towards the end, and then it just gets really over the top. Plus, they had that annoying little twerp from The Sixth Sense.
Sure.
But I don't know. Julianne Moore's in it, and I love her. And
Philip Seymour
Philip Seymour Hoffman, one of I think the greatest actors. You talk about Daniel Day-Lewis. What shattered me was hearing that Philip Seymour Hoffman died.
Seymour Hoffman, yeah.
But
Y'all see Moneyball? He's great at Moneyball.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love Moneyball.
yeah, Moneyball's genius. I mean, the whole thing. So.
And The Master as well, of
Yeah,
course.
which I was about to say is probably my favorite Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Mine too, I think.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is Paul Thomas Anderson in some of his films? I didn't much care for Inherent Vice. There Will
love
Be
it.
Blood. I thought was
Love
good,
it.
but Daniel Day-Lewis again. He's so
There.
yeah.
You know, yeah.
He's so in your face with his actor stylings.
Mm-hmm.
But The Master is honestly one of the best films I've seen in the past few years, and the interplay between Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman blew me away. So, Inherent Vice was just sort of a throwaway film. Honestly, I thought it was, A for effort, but a little difficult to follow at times, and you just kind of go, okay, I watched a movie. It didn't really
Oh, I love it.
push you or unsettle you the way The Master did.
Sure.
And so this next one could be brilliant, could not be. I don't know. Paul Thomas Anderson, all of his films I think are quality, but just subjectively, I don't, some of them
Yeah.
don't sit as well with me as others do. So
Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure he'll be around come Oscar season or
Yeah.
Oscars. So yeah, either way. But that might be about all we got. I mean, y'all have anything else you want to bring up?
no.
No?
So I guess just in conclusion, again, if you want to ask us anything, we will probably read it on the show, so you can send it to the filmbudspodcast@gmail.com. And we also have a website, thefilmbuds.com. You can reach us at Twitter at thefilmbuds or on Facebook. And so we have plenty of ways you can get in touch with us. Please feel free to do so. We'd love to hear from you. And so next week, we're going to be doing Transformers, if all goes well. Braden, you said you would have some interest in doing that, or no?
Yeah.
Because you go crazy for Bayhem. You love...
Oh,
You're
Michael
just-
Bay is awesome.
Yeah, you're just...
He's the best ever. So this is what? This is the 5th film of the series, so I need to budget a good 3 to 3.5 hour block for this one?
It's 2.5 hours. It's 2.5.
What?
It's 2.5. Yeah.
That's not right. That's not a massive increase over the
I
last
know.
one.
There was an original report that it was going to be 3 hours, but now it is officially 2:29, I think. So,
Let me down.
yeah.
If I'm going to see Transformers film, they have to be at least 15 minutes longer than the previous.
Yeah, sorry, Michael. Or yeah, just you
Well, you
should
can rewatch the first 15 minutes of the last one. Then.
Oh, okay. There we go.
with the Dino bots.
Yes.
Dinobots. Optimus Prime riding a Dinobot.
Yeah, great. I caught the last kind of the middle section on TV last night of Dark of the Moon. God, it is bad.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
really
so
terrible.
Loud and bloated and just it's an incoherent mess.
What I want to know is how does he get the people to do the cameos
I don't know.
that do? I mean,
Money.
Francis McDormand,
Yeah.
John Malkovich.
It's barely not even a cameo. They're in it for a substantial amount of time.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean,
Yeah.
if you're them, think of the exposure. How many people are going to see Transformers?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. I mean, it's a little
I'm sure
bit
it's
of
money and marketing, so.
Yeah, exactly. It
I
keeps
don't
them
blame them.
somewhat relevant, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyways, so we'll review that next week, and we might more than likely be joined by a buddy of mine who works at the coffee shop I'm at. Paige Brown, who I believe she said she wants to be a permanent member of the group. Although we'll try and figure out the schedule for that. So she'll be here. Mr. Braden will be here. If all yes. And so it's going to be a good, fun, epic show. And so yeah.
In the vein of Will here, it might be transformative.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm proud of you for that.
And so thank you so much. We hope you've stuck with us, and sorry for any technical difficulties. We're again very new to this, and so we're gonna hopefully have a very structured plan and all the equipment we need and everything ironed out very soon. So we'll hopefully see you next week, and thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you later.